It's the Daylight Midnight Show.
Hello and welcome to the Daylight Midnight Show. My name is Greg and we've reached this strange point in my house now where, thanks to outfit roulette, I actually wear makeup more often than my wife does. I think I'm quite pleased with what I've done this week, although I'm not convinced that what I've got on my eyes is actually mascara. I'm not convinced that what I've got on my cheeks is actually blusher, and I'm not convinced that what I've got on my lips is actually lipstick. I might have mixed it all up a bit, so it may be really hard for me to get all this off later. But there we go, that's a problem for later. Let's crack on then by revealing our wonderful word of the week, which is a word I didn't know existed 7 days ago that's come up in stuff I've been reading. And this week it is... Now, I've just remembered what I meant to do before I started the show, which is I was going to look up the correct pronunciation. So I'm not sure it's Lobola or Lobola. But it comes from peoples of southern Africa, and it basically describes almost like a dowry. It is the money or cattle given by the bridegroom's family to the bride's family. So it's kind of like a payment in cows, if you like, and that's our word of the week. Let's have a look at the Door of Delights then, and I've got something new to put on the Door of Delights, because last week, if you remember, I did one of these silly online surveys to discover what kind of seabird I am, and I discovered that I am a puffin, and I said I'd get a picture to put on the Door of Delights, so I've printed this one off. Turns out there's 3 different kinds of puffin in the world. There are Atlantic puffins, there are horned puffins, and there are tufted puffins, and these ones are Atlantic puffins. The reason I printed them in a pair is because they mate for life. It's very rare that you'll see one on its own. And I also thought, because they're looking that way, I could put them close to Pogo Dave Penguin, our show mascot, and they could be looking at each other. But I've just realised another mistake I've made is that I've printed it... Now, I never remember which way around. Is that landscape and that's portrait? Should have done it portrait because it would have sat there. Now it's landscape, we're going to have an issue. So if I remove this, which I believe is this week's topical limerick, if I put it there, it's going to cover up Dave. I'm going to have a bit of a rejig around. So if our list of stuff that we haven't done yet on the show, which we probably never will, can I jig this stuff around? I don't think I can. I'm going to leave it for now, because if not, we're going to have half the show with me redecorating. So that's going to fit at some point next to Dave. But there we are, that's our show Puffins, and we'll come up with names for them at some point in the future. So let's open this then. This is this week's topical limerick, and the story this week could have been under the headline, Sardines Save Kittens. The enticing smell of tinned sardines proved key to luring 2 tiny 4-week-old kittens from a labyrinth of drains where they had been trapped for 2 days. This is at Waltham Abbey in Essex, and there's a massive salad farm. So they've got loads of greenhouses, and a stray cat wandered in, made a home for itself, and gave birth to some kittens. They couldn't leave them there, so they called in a local charity, which has got the wonderful name of the Scratching Post. It's like a sort of rehousing place for stray cats and dogs. And as they went to take them away, 2 of the kittens escaped. Now, under the greenhouses in this farm, there's an elaborate system of pipes that provide water to irrigate the crops, and then there's drainage systems that take all the excess water away. The 2 kittens got into one of those drains and basically disappeared, and they couldn't find them. So they tried different things. They got the mum to sit near the end of the drain, hoping the smell and the sound of the mum would entice them out. That didn't work. They got a recording of a mother calling to kittens and played that down the drains. That didn't work either. So in the end, they called in Essex Local Fire Service. And I love this quote. They came up with a kitten-focused plan using netting and 2 small traps with food near the end of the pipes. That didn't quite work either. So in the end, these little kittens had been without their mother's milk for 48 hours now, at the age of only 4 weeks old. Everyone was getting very worried. They didn't think they were going to survive. Someone had a bright idea. We basically soaked a net in juice from a sardine tin. We wedged one end under something heavy and then fed the sardine-smelling netting through the drains. And within a few hours, they crawled up the netting and they were out and they were reunited with their grateful mum. Everybody was happy. Lovely happy ending to the story. They're all going to be rehomed. So a little limerick about this then. If your kitten gets lodged in a drain and his mewling is causing you pain, close your eyes, make a wish, and then tempt it with fish. You'll soon have him back out again. I'll grade that a C+. I like the sentiment. It's not a great limerick. So from there, let's swing around and have a look inside the brown folder, which of course now has its own theme song. One time at Halloween I played a psychopathic clown. Let's see what is written in the folder that is brown. Folder that is brown. That's a work in progress. So in the brown folder I just note stuff down throughout the week. You know how this works, and then we go through them together at the start of the show. Point number one this week, a wetsuit on dry land is basically a wearable sauna. This is going back to the last show when I had to wear a wetsuit with a big beach robe over the top. It was 28 degrees in here at the start. The wetsuit is too small for me, and I honestly don't know how I made it to the end of the show without passing out. So I thought what I need to do, I might have to seasonally adjust the outfits on Outfit Roulette. And then my mind went a bit further than that, which was instead of having to change that too often, I could make the show seasonal. So at the moment we're kind of struggling through sort of 20 odd shows in a series, then a break, then 20 odd shows. Maybe we could split it up so I could do 10 shows with a spring-based theme, a couple of weeks off, 10 shows with a summer-based theme, do the same for autumn and winter. Outfit Roulette would change each time to more reflect the time of year it was. I spent loads of time thinking about that. It just shows you the rabbit holes that my brain can disappear down. Haven't decided whether we'll do that or not. And point number 3 this week, every old man suits the name Frank. Just an observation, some names look great on children, not so much on adults. Some names are good for adults, they don't fit children. I think any old person, and I'm saying from about the age of 65, any old man, the name Frank suits him. And just think about it. So think of somebody over the age of 65 who's male that you know. It could be a head teacher, dad, grandparents, a neighbour, someone you work with. Picture them. Now imagine yourself going up to them and saying, "Good morning, Frank, how are you? Did you have a good weekend?" The name will suit them. And the other thing we have in the brown folder is a list of facts about penguins. A couple of weeks ago I did what I called my Great 8, and I did my favourite 8 words. And after it was decided last week that the puffin was the official seabird of the Daylight Midnight Show, I thought I'd do some research. So I found out loads of information about puffins. I've selected my 8 favourites and I've put them into a list because I've got far too much time on my hands, so I actually ranked them. Little bonus fact, don't you think that they actually look like a parrot had sex with a penguin? So 8 facts all about penguin then. Coming in on my list at number 8, they are known in parts of the world as sea parrots, and they also have the nickname clowns of the sea. Point number 7, they flap their wings up to 400 times a minute, and when they're flying they can reach speeds of up to 55 miles per hour. They are very nippy birds. Number 6, they have webbed feet which they use as a rudder, and when they're diving underwater for fish they can go down as far as 60 metres below the surface. Point number 5, they mostly eat small fish like young herring and sand eels, and because of the length of their beak and its unique hinged design, which you can't see very clearly on there, they can catch up to 12 fish at a time and carry them all back to the nest in one go. If you look online, there's some wonderful pictures of them with 12 little fish lined up beautifully in their beak, and it saves them doing that exhausting thing that other birds do. If you have a blue tip box in your garden, you'll sometimes see them looking absolutely bedraggled because they're getting food for about 12 young and they have to go backwards and forwards with one insect at a time. The puffin doesn't have to worry about that. 12 fish at a time, deliver the food, sit back, have a cigar, watch a good film. Point number 4, their Latin family name is Fratercula, which means little brother, and it was coined by a French zoologist in the year 1760. He chose it because their black and white plumage reminded him of robes worn by monks. So that's where they get their Latin name from. They don't look very monkey to me, but there you go. Point number 3 then, there is a colony of puffins on the Westman Isles off the southern coast of Iceland that contains 1.1 million nests and a total of 4 million birds. Think how many fish they must catch between them in a day. Point number 2 then, the runner-up on my list. Their beaks change colour depending on the season. They're grey in winter and then they become orange during the mating season in spring. So it's like a lot of ducks in Britain. You see them, they all look that uniform brown colour during the winter, and then they have that lovely spring plumage when they're basically trying to attract a mate. It's the same with puffins. They puff it all out, it gets lovely and orange, ready to attract a partner. And that leads us on to number 1, my favourite fact that I discovered about puffins. Puffins are very noisy lovers. So with that, let's go to Outfit Roulette and decide what I'm going to be wearing on the next show. Then we use the randomness of the Rubik's Cube. I spin it, I twiddle it around in my fingers with my eyes closed so you know I'm not cheating, and then I show you that it is yellow. So yellow next week, I'll be wearing my stripy jacket. Underneath that, we will have whatever is in column black, which means I'll be wearing a dress. And to accessorise all that, we will have whatever is in column black again, so I will be wearing my cowboy hat. Stripy jacket, a dress, and a cowboy hat will be my outfit for the next edition of the Daylight Midnight Show. So a rhyming couplet to end the show on then. If pets get lost in tunnels, it can make you sad and cry. This couplet means the show is over, so I guess goodbye. I'll see you next week. Have a great 7 days.